There it is.
All right, the Google Hangout is live on the air. We're live in the thread for DCLanders on the Facebook group. I have my phone so I can follow along, see if anybody's commenting over there. That's the first time we're doing it, so it may be, you know, a little clunky tonight, but maybe we can get it going. Oh, I just better make sure my sound is down.
Modern technology.
Isn't it amazing?
Oh, God, it is.
Okay, so there's that one. Oh, well, that's not helpful. Okay. So we are talking about Outlander Season 2, Episode 201, Through a Glass Darkly. Through a glass, right? Not through the glass.
Hey, I think, yeah.
Through a Glass Darkly. I know Phyllis and I have both read the books. I know some of you who are in the thread have not read the books, so we'll try to maybe not do a whole lot of
future spoilers.
Yeah, future spoilers. I will spoil from the book to the show because there's some things I like and
but nothing that it leads to.
Yeah, we will do our very best not to do future spoilers throughout the rest of Dragonfly and Amber, or throughout any book after that, except there are sometimes that they've pulled stuff out of future books.
Yeah.
Which I actually
rearrange stuff.
I'm surprised that I like it, but I do like it. So anyway, I'm hoping maybe somebody else can pop in here. The Google Hangout is where we're kind of live video chatting with each other. So Phyllis and I can see each other. You guys can only see me. Hopefully you can hear me, and hopefully you can hear her in the Facebook feed. Who knows, because I can't get my video to load on my phone yet. So hopefully people see it. I am super excited about the new season. I don't know about you, Phyllis, but I was pretty underwhelmed about the peaks of the new season we got starting back in November. The kind of what they were doing as far as promo went, it seemed pretty blah and uninspired, and I'm thinking to myself, well, crap, what the heck is going on with Stars?
Yeah.
And then when we got right down to it, when we actually got to the month before the show started, it was like this explosion of promo. You know, there were pictures everywhere. There were stories everywhere. There's, you know, I heard that there is a train car or a subway car in New York that's all decorated.
Somebody had pictures of that. I saw that. Yeah.
And then the Saks Fifth Avenue thing with all the costumes. It's like finally somebody's truly recognizing the costume work that Terry's been doing.
Right.
They took those windows and Saks on their flagship store on Fifth Avenue.
Wow.
And did those windows, which I would love to have seen, but excuse me, I've got to wet my whistle. So then I started getting excited. It's like, okay, they actually are really, because I was worried they weren't really behind the show. That Stars wasn't really fully supporting behind the show, even with all the money they put into it so far, just because it was such lackluster promo early on.
Yeah. I think they must be doing good to like go back on the things they said about not having the standalone app and everything. I can't imagine what other show would be driving it for them than this one.
The tagline that it's now Stars Obsessible.
Yeah.
Seems so Outlander-ish as far as the fandom.
Well, they have several. I know that they have several series. Well, the only other one ongoing right now is Black Sails, but they have quite a set. Even a backlog of their period stuff. They had Da Vinci's Demons and stuff. So there's a lot of good stuff on their website or in their catalog, I should say.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think
they've still got Power, which I've never watched.
Yeah, I haven't either.
They're starting the Girlfriend Experience, which started Sunday, I think.
And they have Ash Evil Dead. That's like a big sci-fi fantasy thing.
Yeah, I think it's a big comic.
Yeah, but it's a big deal too. So they're getting quite a good catalog produced shows.
So, but yeah, it didn't take. I mean, I can't believe it just took a year for them to go back on that whole no standalone app will go with our Stars Play.
Yeah, thank goodness.
I can't decide if I know.
Yeah, thank goodness.
Because yeah, I'm dropping my new cable system. I'm not subscribed to Stars Encore on my new cable system. Right now I'm subscribed on Amazon and on the standalone app.
Right, you have to pick which one works for you. And
it's going to end up being the standalone app because I can't. My Amazon Prime, my Amazon Video apps on my smart TV and my Blu-ray player are not updated to where I can watch them on my TV.
Oh, okay.
I can't get the subscribed channels on my app.
Yeah.
And there's no way to update them.
And I found out that even with my old Roku, it came up just fine. I hooked it up to the other TV. We're good. So yeah, I'll be dropping my cable or my direct TV. So
yeah, well, see, I do Apple TV.
Yeah, and you have the other system. So
yeah, the Apple TV does not have Amazon on it because Apple and Amazon
they don't
are
talk.
like, sisters who don't get along.
Right.
They have to stay out of the same town.
Right. They're trying for the same audience. We're the same customers and
so they won't. I mean, Apple will not put Amazon on Apple TV.
Right. Right.
So
the other way, it doesn't go the other way either for anything outside of Apple. I don't think. So.
Yeah. If I wanted to do Amazon, where I was doing the standalone, I would end up having to get a Roku, and it's like I don't want two set-top boxes.
Yeah.
When the only thing I would be getting it for would be Amazon.
That one thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, eventually when I'll probably replace my Blu-ray player or I'll get a new Blu-ray player because I have one that is a wired one it's a pain because it has to plug into the modem, and I don't want that. I would like another wireless one. Yeah. When I update that and get a new Blu-ray player, maybe the new Blu-ray player will have been updated so that the new Amazon app will work on it.
Oh, okay.
But at that point, but I'm supposed to be able to have the standalone app on my Apple TV, and it has not shown up on my Apple TV.
Huh.
So I'm not happy about that. But because I have everything Apple product-wise, I can stream from the phone app or from my iPad app, and I can use the AirPlay, the Apple AirPlay, and stream from my two, mobile devices to my Apple TV.
Yeah. So
I have figured out a workaround.
Yeah, it is amazing what you figure out.
Hey, when I was traveling, I even bought the cables because I didn't want to hook up cable every place I went when I was travel nursing, so I was only there for 3 months.
Yeah.
But when I first went to Virginia in 2012, my Jayhawks were in the national championship game. And I'm in Virginia with no cable. But I had the March Madness app. I had subscribed to the March Madness app. But at that point, there was no AirPlay. So I actually had to get the cables and hook my Mac into my TV.
Oh.
But it didn't pick up the sound automatically. So I was having to then hook into speakers.
Yeah.
So that I had decent sound so I could see the screen. It was one of those things I was like, oh my God, all this just to be able to watch freaking basketball games.
It's amazing what you'll do.
So anyway, let's go ahead and start talking about the episode.
Right.
I had watched kind of the big main trailers, but hadn't done a whole bunch of looking and research and stuff, so I wasn't totally spoiled about how this episode was going to go.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew at some point they were going to go back, and because of the fact that they spoiled that in the trailer, which
they'd shown Frank,
shocked me to begin with, but then I was like, it may be the fact that they're softening the ground for those people who are just TV watchers.
Right.
Kind of letting them know that, hey, this is coming, prepare yourself.
Right.
So you don't throw something at the TV like I threw my book, like I would have thrown my book across the room if I hadn't been reading on my phone.
Don't break your electronics yet.
Exactly. Well, I was reading on my iPhone at work one night, and when I opened the book up, I was like, "What the hell?
Did I miss something?
Did I skip 2 books? What the hell is going on here?"
Oh, who is this person?
Yeah, and I downloaded like the two more books, and I'm looking at the publication dates, and I'm like, what the hell did they do?
Right.
Why am I, sorry, my iPad just kind of went poof.
Oh, you need a little stand, huh?
Well, no, it just suddenly
Yeah, it put me on the edge of my couch, which doesn't happen too often. Not even for shows I like. But when I saw it come out and she's laying there, and I thought, oh my God, what are they doing? And then and then that great shot where you see her on the one side walking, and you can barely see her. She's like this big, but it's that big shot of the valley. And then you realize that they cut to her walking on the street, on the highway. And I was going, oh my God, that is so awesome.
Yeah, well, those of us who've done the book thing, when we did the book club, I had been saying all along that I thought they would cut the entire first part of Dragonfly and Amber, because it was going to be such a huge shock. There's a bigger shock. The book readers got a bigger shock than the TV watchers got, because
it's already prepped.
The book doesn't start exactly the way the TV show started, but it's in the same vein.
Yeah, it's the same idea.
Yeah, so there is still more stuff to come, but I was thinking they were going to cut all that because it was going to be so freaking confusing. Yeah,
this was very visually compelling, and you really understood what happened. So I think that was a really good start also, and I think it was good, and I think it's good. I mean, I've said elsewhere, I mean, anyone that reads our threads and stuff, but it was good. It was a good setup to this season. It was a good. We're still confused. You know, she's back in the modern day. What happened? Why did she come back? What the heck? You know, I mean, we know it must have had something to do with Culloden, because she's upset about finding out that they actually the Scots lost it. So what is the story? And now what? You know, she's pregnant, but then she's pregnant in the past too. So what's going on with that? So, yeah, I think it was good. I think it's left you with questions if you're not the book reader, and it made it intriguing, and gave you some backstory, and we got to see some good acting from Tobias Menzies, and so and Kat and Katrina.
I'm not usually a big crier, easy crier. But I was in tears with that opening scene of hers. Once she realized, you know, where she was and searching for the ring. I actually love that ring that they've put in there, because that's a little introduction to something that comes from a later book. So I love
not even in the context of the stones right away. So it doesn't matter. Yeah, but I think it was good. Yeah. In fact, I know I posted on another website. I said, what was she looking for? And then Corey corrected me there and said, I think she was looking for the stone.
Oh,
okay. Duh. Because I thought maybe there was something else that she had lost besides just the ring that clearly had a burned out gemstone.
Yeah, I'm thinking that's that ruby. May have been a ruby signet ring.
Yeah, it's a ruby. Yeah. Yeah.
But that's a book spoiler.
Yeah, but I think but under what context did she get it to? I'm curious now. So.
Yeah, I'm having to think. I would have to go back and read to figure out exactly, because I thought it was later in the series that that particular through line came.
Yeah, it is way later.
Yeah, I think it's the next book.
Yeah,
I think it's actually the next book. But anyway.
Yeah, anyway, yeah, we're not going to go there. So.
We're not going to go there. So anyway, I was teary with tears. You know, I wasn't sobbing, but I had tears coming down with just that first wail of hers when she realized where she was, and then I was going to start bitching about the voiceover, but I actually was fine with that voiceover there.
Yeah.
You know?
Could you maybe, not being a book reader, of course, we don't want to spoil it, but just here's a thought. Would it bring up a question of, did she inadvertently come back? Kind of thing, almost. You know, I mean, even though what we know, did she inadvertently come back when you first initially see it? I mean, I know later she says you know, he sent me back or whatever. But
Yeah.
I think when you might initially see it, it might almost look like what happened is she just get too close and pop back in the middle of a conversation.
Well, except that she, you know, she knows
Yeah.
how those stones work. So I don't think I would have ever thought she did it
By accident.
by accident.
Yeah, not like the first time. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, she clears that up pretty quick when she talks to Frank and says she was sent back by Jamie.
So, yeah, I mean, I was surprised when she was asking who won the battle.
Yeah.
But that again, that's a spoiler from having read the book.
Right.
No, because we know from the end of last season that their goal was to go to France and to stop the uprising.
Yeah, to stop the uprising.
So yeah, I mean,
So yeah, I guess
that's basically leading us right from it was kind of a play to, I think it was a kind of a way to kind of trick us into thinking that
they were on track, maybe.
Yeah, but for some reason she had to be sent back. But there's no way Jamie would have sent her back unless things were going dramatically wrong.
Yeah.
You know, unless he knew he wasn't going to be there for her, or that she was going to be safer.
Yeah, she's safer wherever he sent her.
Back with Frank. So,
but she still didn't know when she was, because she had to ask that man.
Right.
Stopped. I mean, clearly, you know, the car probably looked relatively familiar, and the clothing, so she probably knew she was. Well, maybe not. I mean, I don't know what kind of concept she would have of that. So to have to ask what year is it?
Yeah, well, it's also, I'm sure she had no idea how time was passing in her present or in
the future, yeah.
Or whatever it is. Hey, sorry.
That's true. She wouldn't know. She might have, for all she knew, she popped back the day after she left.
After she disappeared, yeah. So, but anyway, so yeah, I loved that opening. I loved them giving us that slap in the face. It's more of a slap in the face instead of the punch in the gut that the book was. And then we cut to the whole Frank thing, and the whole Frank thing is in this whole section. Actually, was in one of the books. I can't remember if Claire's telling us in Dragonfly and Amber or if it's in the next book. But she tells bits and pieces of this.
Right.
So they have pulled out what she's relating to people.
Yeah.
And actually shown it to us.
Right.
So, and it was actually kind of good. And I actually loved the flash that she got of Blackjack, although I was listening to the Scott and the Sassenach and they didn't like the actual visual. They would have preferred to have her just recoil from Frank.
Without having to actually.
Yeah, without showing us that she was having that flash.
Right.
And sometimes I'm thinking that maybe that might have been more powerful.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's visual. It's a visual thing, you know, visual medium, as they say. So.
No, but whatever.
Yeah. Right.
I still loved all that.
Yeah, I think it was a good section.
And then there's been a whole bunch of people who are like, "Why would she tell Mrs. Graham?"
I don't know. I think it was great.
I had no problems with that because I'm thinking to myself, this woman has just lost the love of her life. Basically, it's like your husband having died yesterday.
Yeah.
And needing desperately to be able to talk about him with someone.
Right.
Who else is she going to talk to? She can't talk to Frank.
Right.
Who is going to believe this wild tale? Except for possibly the woman who told her future through her palm, and that they had seen leading the druid dance at the stones.
Yeah.
So knowing that she's got this background in the
mythology,
the mythology and the lore and the fairy stories that happen surrounding that area.
Yes.
I could buy into that because of the fact that she needed somebody she could talk to.
Yeah, that she might suspect might even, accept or be open to the idea of it. Whether
not just look at her and think she's an absolute lunatic.
Yeah, like she's lost her mind or something. Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah, I think that was a good addition there.
I do worry that the fact that it's going to either take away from something that's coming up later, somebody else she's talking to about this story, or they're not going to do that particular part of it.
Yeah, they might.
There's a section where she was telling somebody, and that being able to, that's why I'm saying that, because her being able to tell somebody and have that person believe them, basically says she did not realize how much she needed that.
Yeah, but well, to go back to your we won't spoil it, but really, as she tells this story to other people, why would they believe her any more than anybody else? You know, so she could still go the other route too. You know, and still tell the story on and they could use that if they need to.
Yeah. So anyway, I didn't have a big issue with her choosing to tell Mrs. Graham.
No, I don't either. I think it was good.
So, and this was actually a change from the book.
Yeah. An addition, but it was good. That was a good thing.
And the whole fact that because of her looking, because I think I remember from the book her saying that she couldn't.
Yeah, she didn't want to know.
Didn't want to know. She didn't want to go looking for him, that she had made that decision. So adding the fact that she felt like she needed to, that she was desperate to find out what happened, because it gave that whole thing when Frank told her that she couldn't.
Right, or to stop.
Kind of like people are saying, oh, but Frank is so worthy. He loves her so much. Bull! Sorry.
I don't know. I think now I got the feeling that he truly was devastated that she had left. And he was happy she was back. And I do believe he loves her deeply.
Yeah, but you know what?
In this moment.
His whole claim that no matter what she did, he was going to love her anyway.
Right. And I believe that at this moment,
he was giving lip service to that idea, because as soon as he was hit in the face with absolute proof that she was with someone else, we got that whole scene where he about lost it. Oh, well, he about lost it with her, and then he went out and, poor Reverend Wakefield's potting shed he tore apart.
Yeah.
Because all that time before that, he's like, I love you no matter whatever you've done. I love you. It doesn't matter to me. I'm pregnant. Oh, you slut bitch.
Well, I think that was a shock. I don't know. I mean, I'm not trying to be, put Frank ahead, but I really do believe Frank loves her very much. And he wants to carry on the life with her after he's accepted, and that little talk with the Reverend about, a child that needs a father, a father that needs a man that needs a child.
Why did he go have his fertility checked a year ago?
Yeah, that's kind of weird, because I know that's a little different than what they did in the book, but.
Yeah.
And back then, why would a man care?
Well, just out of the blue, he's like, maybe I'll have somebody go check my balls, see if I can have kids.
My wife's gone. I'm not going to remarry. Let me go check and see if I'm. Well, I don't know. That might put the question like, well, if I can't have kids anyway, I guess I don't need to get married again. I can just hoe around if I want to.
See, I have whole issues with the fact that way back before she disappeared the first time, him bringing up the fact of asking her if she cheated on him. So I'm of that suspicious nature that as soon as somebody brings it up and says it's okay if you did, it's because they have a guilty conscience.
Yeah, oh, definitely. And you definitely got that from the book, reading it in the book that way, in Outlander.
If he did that when they were separated during the war, the fact that she had disappeared off the face of the earth as far as he was concerned.
And he had seen that guy. He had seen that person staring up at the window.
Yeah, I tell you, I have a friend at work that I got started watching season 1. And it was actually a whole lot of fun to watch her watch these, because she's not a book reader.
Oh, okay.
It was a whole lot of fun to watch her watching these episodes.
Yeah.
Because there were things that she reacted to so much differently than I had when I watched it the first time, because I was expecting some things. But her, when she saw the police sketch of the Highlander.
Yeah, the guy that Frank had seen.
He sat up so straight in her chair. She was like, oh. She pointed at the screen. She was like, what? Huh? What? I was just like, oh my God, that's so cute. So anyway, but that's where my whole distrust of Frank comes from.
Yeah.
The fact that I'm convinced from the show, not even so much from the book. I can find evidence in just the show that he very well was catting around during the war.
Oh, yeah, probably. I mean, yeah, I'm not going to argue that. I mean, I can't say. I'm not going to argue that. I just think that he does love her. And at this point, where we're at now, in 1948, I think he loves her. And he's glad she's back. He's all in for setting up the family. I don't question it. I don't think it's nefarious. I don't think he's settled. I think she's kind of the one in a bad position right now, because she probably would have just been happy to be alone. Just leave me alone.
I think that's exactly what she wanted. I think.
Oh yeah.
Her attitude. Again, I'm trying to come at this from somebody who might just be watching the show, trying to put away what I know about the book.
Yeah.
Right. Her whole attitude.
Tell me if that
coldness. Yeah, there's. I'm in the woods here, so once the sun goes down, a whole bunch of animal life starts moving around outside, and so
your killer dogs. Huh?
The dogs go nuts because there's deer moving out there, and there's armadillo and raccoons and possums, and oh god. So they hear the rustling, but my little dog is everything out there is bigger than he is.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
So he's sitting on the back of the couch, baying at whatever's outside.
Yeah, that was always
anyway, I'm trying to come at this from somebody who's just watching the show and trying not to bring in the stuff from the book. That coldness she had, again, but she was also, I felt she was totally emotionally numb.
Oh God, she was
devastated and in mourning.
Yes.
For the loss of the love of her life.
Yes.
But that whole, that whole wall that she had put up and that distance she had put between them, that was her trying to push him away.
Yeah. Or I think maybe also you could say that she's not sure how he's going to react, because here she is in this situation. She's been gone and now she's back. She's pregnant and she doesn't know what he's going to do. So she's kind of numbed herself also, I would say, because she's got to be ready for whatever his reaction is. If he says, get the heck out, I mean, she's got to know that that's a possibility,
She's already prepared herself to be away from him, because she says to him, your ex-wife.
Yes.
So in her mind, they are not together. All of this pushing to be a couple is coming from him. I think she would have been absolutely fine being a woman with a child on her own, raising Jamie's child on her own.
Right. Yes. Oh, I agree. She was ready to move on to that.
Yeah. She had no expectations of Frank, wanting her back.
In fact, it was surprising when she almost sounded surprised when he showed up in the hospital.
Yeah, like, you're here. I'm back.
Where'd you come from? Or how'd you get here? Yeah. Or who told you? Or something.
Yeah. So, because, I mean, she's now to the point where I feel like she felt like she could be self-sufficient. She has a skill. She has, she can work.
Right.
And, try and support herself. She'd have to go somewhere else to get away from, publicity. But,
right.
Well,
she had no idea there was going to be anything like that. That caught her off guard too. The photographer taking her picture or anything.
Yeah, but she's going to have to go away from where she and Frank were living as a husband and wife if she was going to try and raise this child on her own.
Yeah, start another story. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have another different story.
So that's what my whole thing was. She was totally prepared to be on her own by herself with her child.
Yes.
So then Frank's whole pleading, and I'm just.
Yeah.
Insisting that they come back, I love you unconditionally until I find out you're knocked up, and then I have conditions.
Yeah.
Because that whole, conditional thing, can't look for him. You have to be in the present.
Yeah. But it makes sense, because I could see his point of view on that. If he's going to raise his child, he's offering to, pair up with her, parent up with her, and you don't want to start it with, your dad's some guy that mom got knocked up with in Scotland, alive or not. Why, if you, and back then, I don't know, but I always assumed that adopted children didn't always know they were adopted back in the day, little babies. They wouldn't have known that a parent, one of the parents, or either both the parents necessarily were not their biological parents. especially not growing up. Not necessarily. It's a little different. And I can't say that for everybody. I mean, I don't know of anyone adopted, or I'm not, so
yeah.
I don't think. They say I look like my dad, but you know, I don't know. So the fact that he would take on a child that was not his biologically in that era would not be that big of a deal. I mean, there were probably plenty of babies that were products of situations, especially at wartime.
Yeah.
You know, that a man or would have to, you know, suck it up and be the father. Maybe. I mean, I'm just going to go by other soapy things that, you know, that we see in the movies and stuff, and TV. So, but I could see him wanting to make sure, because they both know that that child for sure isn't raised, you know, with this fairy story that her mother is or the child's mother is concocted, you know.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's fine for the child. I'm just comparing and contrasting what he is requiring her to do as opposed to what Jamie did for her. You know? You know, there weren't any, he didn't have conditions for her to marry him. He never told her that she had to, you know, stop thinking about Frank, take Frank's ring off. He had no problems with her. And Frank, that whole Frank saying she could keep that ring on, I was just kind of like, you're damn straight she's keeping that ring on. That ring wasn't coming off her finger.
Yeah, that was a weird thing, because I thought, well, I wish they hadn't emphasized that. I wish they had just left it, you know, not mentioned it at all, that she left Jamie's ring on. It's not even on a ring finger. I mean, it's not even on a marriage. Her gold ring is on her left finger. So the other one's just a ring, as far as he should see. You know, it shouldn't mean anything to him. So I wish they hadn't have emphasized it.
The burning of her clothes, I was like, well, that's almost cruel, because he did it exactly where she was going to be seeing him.
Yeah.
And that look up at her like, you know, this is your last link.
No.
And
she had said time to move on, or whatever she said. I forget what she said, but so put the past in the past, or give up the past, or something. So I don't know. I'm sorry they did it, because I think they screwed up a future plot point, but a little fun thing for the future. But no, maybe not.
Yeah. So there's, you know, she's never going to be ready. She's never going to be ready to take the ring off. She's never taken that ring off.
No.
You know, Jamie never made her take off Frank's ring.
Yeah, but she never took Frank's ring off. Yeah, so there's no reason for her to ever take his ring off either. So yeah. So,
and then, you know, they're off to Boston.
Yeah, that was a great shot that they got there of New York City, and I thought that was wonderful. So
yeah, and some people thought it was really fake looking.
Well, I'm sure it is. New York doesn't look like that now. I'm sure it was some form of CGI over an old photograph. I'm not sure what airport they would have been flying into. Are they flying into New Jersey, or, I mean, where would they fly?
I listened to Ron's podcast, and he was podcasting with, oh God, some production people.
Okay.
I can't remember what their actual job is.
Okay.
But they were talking about they said LaGuardia.
It was LaGuardia. Okay.
So
I couldn't tell, because I don't know New York, so I don't know which view, whether you'd fly into Newark or you'd fly into LaGuardia and have that view of the Empire State Building. I wouldn't know.
LaGuardia is in Queens. So you actually, I think you go across a bridge coming from Queens to get into Manhattan, because I usually fly into LaGuardia.
Okay, yeah, there's a bridge into Manhattan. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was good. It was a good.
So yeah, I actually liked that whole hand reaching thing, because it was so reminiscent of the promo posters from
the reaching across. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was good. It was good. The little thing on the Stars app that Ron, you know, where they leave Ron's comment at the end, he makes some comments, and he said that Stars had told him he was going to end it a different way, and they're like, no, wait a minute, try something better.
The Stars was like, you can do better.
Yeah, I think that's interesting that he actually took that advice and said, okay, let me think about this, you know, and did.
Yeah.
You know, so Good. And I'm glad they said it to him. I mean, if they're not in awe of him enough that, oh well, it's his show. They had something to say about it. So, and he took the advice, so that was good.
Yeah, I did see some comments from Diana that they never showed the J.
Oh yeah.
And I saw comments from Diana that he chose not to do that.
That's okay. That's okay. I don't care. I think that's a minor thing. To me, personally, that's a minor thing. I know it's an emotional, sweet connection thing, and
it's a good thing for people who haven't, know.
She's still got a ring. She's got a ring, and she's got two rings.
Got a ring and a baby.
And a baby, and she's got a baby and a couple rings, and there was something else too, wasn't there?
Oh,
well, what? It seemed like there was a box, or was that something else? Because she laid a box on top of the ring when she packed it.
Hey, Melissa.
There's Melissa. Yay!
I don't think there was a box that she brought back. She didn't come back with the box. So we're still talking about the first 38 minutes of.
38 minutes.
Hey.
Yeah, I estimated it was 40.
Because it was too freaking long is what it was.
It was scary. Now, to talk about how long it was, once they got to the France stuff, and she's talking to Jamie, they're sitting on the bed, and she's like, okay, we're going to do this. And I thought, whoa, they're not ending this now, are they? We get like 10 minutes of Jamie. Oh, no. And I had to stop my broadcast for a minute anyway, and I looked, and I said, oh, thank God there's another 15 minutes.
They gave us freaking 38 minutes of Frank, and not even 20 minutes of Claire and Jamie.
Right. Not even 20
minutes.
And
this is Claire and Jamie's story, for God's sake.
Yeah, but they're done. I mean, they're moving forward.
I know, no more Frank. There was an interview with Tobias that said there's no more Frank this season.
Well, Melissa just joined us, so tell us what you thought. Oh, we can't hear you.
We can't hear you, honey. Still no sound. Try unplugging your headphones and plugging them back in. Maybe it's a mic issue.
Uh-oh, there she is.
Oh, is that Melissa?
Yeah. Oh, but no.
Well, I thought I heard her. Hooey. Try taking the whole headphones out and see if we can hear you. No. No sound.
Shoot.
You might have to pop out and pop back in. So sometimes that, I don't know what it does. Something resets. We got no sound. Okay.
Yeah, hopefully she'll come back. Yeah, I'd like to hear what she has to say.
Yeah, because I love the fact it's super interesting. Everybody's different take on it.
Right. Yeah, I don't go too far on the internet. I have one other place that there's a conversation going on, and that's the old, used to be Television Without Pity. It's something else now. And previously TV. So that's the only other place I make any comments at. Because you can make yourself crazy with different groups and different perspectives. So I said, I will not make myself crazy over books I know too well.
Yeah.
A story I know too well. So, and previously TV is cool because they have a book readers section. They do a thread for book readers and a thread for non-book readers. So sometimes it's interesting to read the non-book readers and get their takes on it, how they're seeing it. Because it is interesting. I kind of envy them.
Well, like I said, I've got two different podcasts that I follow. The Scott and Sassenach and Outlander cast. I tend to follow both of those. Outlander cast made me nuts this time. I was listening to it last night at work because I had no patience. All freaking night, no patience.
Wow.
And so I think I'm listening to it at like 2 a.m.
Oh.
And I'm yelling at my phone. Like, no. What are you talking about? No. I'm sitting at the desk yelling at my phone.
That's funny. That's funny. And they're non-book readers? They're
Um,
non-book readers, or they
He's
are
a book reader. Her husband is a non-book reader.
Oh, okay. This is the okay.
That's the married couple in Rhode Island.
Okay. So he's watching it. He's watching it cold, and she's got the background. Yeah.
He is a Ron Moore fanboy.
Oh,
okay. Ron Moore from Battlestar Galactica and Star Trek and all that kind of stuff.
And all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, but he's a big fan of Outlander now. I mean, just the TV show.
Yeah.
He's a big fan. He was a Team Frank guy for the first over half the season. It wasn't until I think Jamie took Claire back to the Stones to let her go.
Yeah, that he
switched.
Oh, okay.
Well, he didn't so much switch. He's still Frank positive.
Okay.
But he said, now I get it. I understand. Blah, 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 blah. So the Scott and the Sassenach are both story experts and writers.
Uh-huh.
So they do their analysis coming at it from storytelling and narrative.
Right.
What works and what doesn't, and adaptation, from the source material to the TV show.
Yeah.
And he's Scottish, she's American.
Okay.
So that's why it's the Scott the Sassenach.
Yeah.
So, and theirs is interesting too, because he's the one who does the seminar.
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
The seminar for Outlander, and we just finished the seminar for Dragonfly and Amber.
Okay.
Where they do he has a really deep, in-depth reading, dissection, and discussion of the book, looking at, the subtext and symbolism and
yeah,
all that stuff. So it's a different way to read the book.
Yeah.
So it's definitely people in that group are much smarter than I am.
Oh. So, is it not coming back? Darn it.
Well, phooey.
Okay, well, on to France then.
Yeah, so they are. I liked that transition. I like that whole reaching out with the hands.
Yeah, that was good.
That change. There are some people who kind of rolled their eyes at it and said it was cheesy as hell.
Supposed to be cheesy.
Drama. Whatever. People are way too freaking cynical.
Yeah, I thought it was good. It was good. Good.
I like it because to me, when she walked down the airplane steps, she still had this slight look of trepidation on her face, but when she got to the bottom, for me, she was remembering stepping off that gangplank.
Oh, really? Yeah. Okay. I just figured she just decided to move forward. I didn't quite go into having that memory of Jamie specifically, but just that she's moving forward. Here I am.
Yeah. See, I thought that whole smile, for me, that was a smile for Jamie.
Okay.
That memory, like, yes, I remember this.
Deja vu almost. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a deja vu thing. Yeah.
So anyway, but there was not enough time. I was surprised how well Ron Moore, well, I shouldn't be surprised. At the time I was watching it, I was surprised how well he had written the first 2/3. As far as there being so much emotional connection and content. But then I remembered he doesn't write Jamie well at all.
Oh, really?
Does not. I don't think he writes the connection between Jamie and Claire well at all.
Oh, okay.
Because he's a Frank fanboy. Frank.
Huh.
So I think he is really dedicated to making sure that Frank gets an equal, a fair shake.
Yeah.
But when it comes to Jamie, Melissa, did we get sound this time? I see your pretty picture. Oh, darn. She fell out again.
Oh, dear.
So, yeah, I just don't think he doesn't have a really great grasp on that relationship, on the Jamie and Claire relationship.
Okay.
Because it was so cold, that whole scene in their room at the inn.
But Jamie is still PTSD in it, He's still a little... Oh,
I realize he's still, that... Hello, honey.
Hey, can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Yay! Move room.
So, okay, tell us your thoughts on the first Frank bit. You know, the first 30.
Okay. You know, I noticed they changed the opening song.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did anyone notice that they'd kind of changed that a little bit?
It's it's much more Baroque. It's got
Yes.
as far as that, but it's also they added the French lyrics.
Yeah.
Yes.
And new pictures. I mean, the visuals are all this season.
Well, the first 6 shots or so are the same. The first shots of Claire, the first shots of Jamie
Oh, yes.
are the same. And then once they get past that shot of Jamie, I think that's when they start bringing in the stuff from France. And I did hear in Ron's podcast that that's going to be an evolving.
Oh, okay, cool.
They're
Yeah,
gonna start adding more shots and stuff from the new season.
that's cool.
Which could be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I might actually enjoy that, looking at it saying, okay, what'd they add this time?
Really. So the
You
song
know what?
could be different every year.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah.
I kind of enjoyed the adaptations to Frank's character that they did for the TV series. Very different than what I had pictured in my head from the books.
Yeah, I did.
Because he almost seemed like he believed her.
Yeah, Melissa, let me tell you, we're trying to keep spoiler-free of future events.
Okay.
So I'm okay with us discussing stuff that's happened in the book that we're seeing on the screen, the difference between those two things. But I'm trying not to spoil and bring in stuff in the future, which is totally different from us. Normally we're dabbing all over the place, but I thought I'd be nice to those people who were,
But I see what you're saying, Melissa, as far as, like, they kind of filled that little bit out for them, for that era.
Well, and they were doing that last season, too, by, that the whole, half of both sides now being Frank.
Right.
Letting us be Frank.
Some visual to that, so I see what you're saying on that.
What did y'all think about Claire talking to Mrs. Graham?
We talked about that, and I was actually completely okay with it because I felt like when she came back, she desperately needed somebody to talk to that she could talk to and talk to Jamie about Jamie and have them believe her. She was desperate. She had she's a brand new widow who desperately wants to talk about the man she loves and can't because nobody that she knows is going to believe her, or the one man she does know is not going to want to hear it. Yeah,
that's kind of the way I felt about it too, because when that portion when she comes back in the books, it doesn't say anything about her having anybody to talk to, and so I went through reading, going, oh my goodness, how'd she cope?
Yeah,
how did she cope? And so I really liked that. I liked that I got to see Mrs. Graham again. I think she would be a really cool character to know a backstory on.
Kind of like Mrs. Fitz.
Yes, exactly.
She's the modern day Mrs. Fitz is what she is.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people who are commenting about the fact that Roger did not get any older in the 2 years that Claire was gone.
Oh, come on. He's only
that's kind of nitpicking.
7 or 8.
Well, because the people who have kids that age are there's not a big difference between 10 and 12 or 11 and 13, but from 5 to 7, there's a big advancement.
I was trying to figure out, because it's really, if he was at the youngest, I mean, from season 1, the little boy when they used him, you could get him down to maybe 4, age 4. Maybe 3 or 4. Well, 4, not 3, 4. Somewhere around 4. And they've only added 3 years. So he's only 7.
They changed it. The book it's different from the book. She's only been on 2 years.
Okay, so I think the 2 years from 4-5 to 6-7, I think he covers. And think about it this way: when they filmed the first season was 2 years ago. So the kid is a year older.
He does not look a day older.
Yeah, but he is at least a year older, so
I know, but man,
I don't know.
Look any older.
He's just a cute little boy.
Yeah, he is super cute.
Glad they found an adult that looks like him.
Well, if you think about it, Rick Rankin.
That's why I said he looks like him.
Looks like him, yeah. So what did you guys think? Or Phyllis and I didn't talk about it. What did you think of the title card with it being Roger and the plane?
You know, I really liked that. I really liked that. I thought that was really cool. That
And somebody noted that book that he dropped the plane on, part of the title was Tall Ships.
Right, which is
see, I didn't notice that.
Is Tall Ships Production.
Wow.
Which I thought was kind of cool.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Product placement.
A little callback to that, but only people who are nerds would really get it. So
yeah, that's really cool.
I was okay with her talking to Mrs. Graham, and I think Phyllis was okay with it too. It didn't throw her out and seem odd to her.
No, I thought it was a good addition, a good adaptation. Yes.
When I said something on our Facebook page today about it, but it kept wigging me out that I could see Frank's contacts. That's all I looked at, and I got kind of bored in the Frank and Claire
because there was
in front of the fireplace. Yeah, I was like, oh my goodness, how many times can we watch the man's face? And so I got to nitpicking, and then I saw his contacts, and then that's all I could see was Frank had contacts in 1948.
Okay.
Wow.
I'll have to watch.
I'll have to go back and watch. I wasn't that much of a tip.
You know, if you want the thing that caught me, and this is a whole continuity thing, when Frank stands up at the fire, he puts his whiskey glass on the mantle. And then the next time you see it, it's not on the mantle, it's back on the table. So, oops, on the continuity there.
Oh, that's funny. I didn't notice that.
And I mean, it's a very clear move when he stands up and he sets the glass as he's staring at the fire, and then he kind of walks around Claire and goes over to the clothes and then comes back to sit down at unless she jumped up and moved it.
Maybe she did because it didn't have a coaster.
Finishing off his,
Or didn't drops in his, maybe. Yeah.
You know, you could hear it. You could hear it when it hit the mantle. You could hear the little clink of it. And the first thing I thought of was, oh, my God, he's going to leave a circle on that wood. He doesn't have a coaster under it. So maybe Claire jumped up and grabbed it before he could ruin the top of it.
There you go.
What did you think of him smelling the clothes?
You know, I saw online somebody had put on that he must have caught a whiff of Oda Jamie, yeah. I was like, ew. But it looked like, so when I watched it the second time, I was like, I wonder where on that shift he smelled. And so, but it looked like it was up at the top. So, yeah, unless Jamie really stank up at his chest area, then
back then.
That's true.
Yeah, that thing probably didn't smell so good by itself, just being on her. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just couldn't believe they burned it. I was like, you know, I noticed, you know, I can understand why he burned it, but I'm like, oh, that's like authentic clothing. I mean, you know, put it away or something, but don't burn it.
I saw a couple places where people said, how come they didn't donate it to a museum? What's the provenance? How do you explain how you got it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, why it doesn't look 200 years old?
Yeah, they said it looked too good, right?
Yeah, I mean, it looked, you know.
But it was in very good shape, which would have been a unique thing. So you better come up with a way that dress and that whole outfit got saved for 200 years and didn't get moth-eaten or molder, or, you know. So, I don't know. I could see where you can't really donate it as like it's been in the family or anything. It's not been hanging in a closet.
What just struck me is the fact that he sent that stuff for analysis.
Yeah,
had it back, and she'd only been back a week.
Yeah.
Boy, the mail system in Scotland is amazing.
Well, they can send it down on the train, and it goes down in a box on the train to his friend and all.
I just thought that might have been where FedEx was originating. Was in Scotland. They ever knotted that sucker.
Too much.
I just thought about that. I'm like, how the hell did they get that down and back so fast?
They had trains.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm assuming you sent it to a friend of his in England.
Well, to Oxford, but that's still.
I know, but we're still talking about the fact that it's not like there was a rush job on it.
Yeah, but it's like, to be honest, and I know, I mean, it's a modern train, but it was about 5 hours from Edinburgh to London on the train without getting off the train. So
Yeah, so immediately they...
Just as a perspective, I guess England's the length of, or the British island is the length of Idaho, the state of Idaho. It's not that big,
Yeah.
even back then. So, but yeah, that's funny. That is funny that they did that.
So yeah, the burning of the clothes, I'm just kind of like, oh, the story, and I can't believe he's burning them. But then it's when he looked up at Claire, I just thought that look was like, I am taking away the last link you have. Well, not quite, because there's this whole thing that's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger over the next few months.
Yeah. So what's that ring? What's not her wedding band, but the ring that has the stone missing out of it?
I think that's actually something they've pulled in from the next book.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. All right. I think I know what you're talking about then.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's the storyline that they've done it is part of the next thing. I don't think there's anything in Dragonfly and Amber about stones, gemstones, and the stones. Is there? There's nothing in that's in the next.
Not that I can remember.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think. The only thing, well, yeah, I don't think there is. Not. It wouldn't be at this point anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. It's in the next book, and it's towards the latter part of the next book that we hear anything about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think that they've gone ahead and pulled because they have pulled a few things, because all of this stuff with Frank is in. I think it's in the beginning of Voyager.
Yeah, it's part of the Voyager timeline. Yeah.
So they've pulled some of that stuff out of Voyager. I think they've pulled some other things out of the next book.
Well, we'll see. To be revealed this season, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, my big complaint about the whole first 38 minutes was that it was 38 minutes.
Yeah.
It was 38 minutes with Frank and Claire in 1948 when our story is about Jamie and Claire in 1745. Well, it's now 1745. Do you love how they jumped the timeline?
Yeah, they said that they had some convoluted story about that, just like Diana does about the story in the book.
Well, I don't know.
They don't have much time.
They did not explain it in the show at all, how it suddenly went from being 1743 to being 1745.
Yeah, that's true, because
although she went through the stones in October of 1945, which made it October of 1743.
43,
so,
right.
And she talked about having spent weeks on the road during Rent.
They were going back to Leoc for Christmas. So they were coming up on
going back for Christmas. In the book, they were going back.
Well, in the story, too. Yeah,
did they?
In the story, too. No, in the story, too, because Jamie comments on the show that they'll be at Leoc for Christmas. She makes a comment about the stockings, hanging the stockings by the fire, and he says, oh, to dry them.
Oh, God, I completely forgot about that.
Yeah, so they're in December when they go back to Leoc. And they must spend enough time there, because by the time they get to the witch trial and then head off across the plains there.
Well, I'm thinking, I mean, if they had kind of stuck to some of the timeline, I'm thinking maybe they are back in Lollybrock after Hogmanay, which is the first of the year. So it would be 1744 when that started. You know, when they were in Lollybrock. It would be January of 1744.
But they didn't spend enough time in Lollybrock. Well, I don't know. Whatever. This is their story. January of 1944.
But all we can... I can't figure out, unless they're trying to make us think a lot more time passed while they were at Lollybrock before.
Yeah, trying to pad out.
They wrote it and filmed it. It was like the watch showed up the next day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Except that the search may have taken, 5 months. Since it felt like it took 2 years.
Oh my goodness.
I don't know. Yeah, that's kind of funny that they did that.
I mean, in the book, we could have gotten away with it if they had followed more of that book timeline of the recovery at the Abbey.
Yeah.
They spent a ton in the book, in Outlander. We're not in Dragonfly now. In Outlander, they spent a ton of time at the Abbey recovering.
Right. in the book.
Because
Yeah.
there was a lot more physical injuries that Jamie had to recover from.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, that'll be interesting. I don't know. I'm not going to make myself crazy, but I guess.
I'm certainly hoping it's got to be like January 1745.
Yeah, it's got to be early. It's got to be very early. 17.
Because she's still not visibly pregnant.
Right. Yeah, she's still got to get through 9 months of that. So
the fact that that's where they've actually hand waved a bunch of months between Lollybrock and France.
Right. Yeah, because there's
between Lollybrock and Wentworth, a whole bunch of time passed.
Yeah.
And they just kind of did this.
Yeah.
Okay, a whole bunch of time passed.
And now we're here.
So they maybe Wentworth. He was in Wentworth prison in September, October. So that she didn't actually get pregnant until.
Yeah.
Because she could be 3 or 4 months, she still wouldn't be showing much.
Yeah.
But by the time we get to 5, 6 months, she's going to have the little pooch, the little belly.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
So yeah, I mean that's where the whole hand waving went with the time passage. That has to be where it is.
Huh.
Did you all notice, and it may have just been my imagination, when she was in the gray pencil skirt, when her and Frank were giving each other they were making their agreement on if they were going to stay together. He was to never mention flogging, and she was to quit looking for Jamie and stuff. When she was in that pencil skirt in that scene, she had a little bit of a pooch.
Huh.
Just a hair, like just a little, to where, but she wasn't as flat as a board like she normally is.
Well, yeah, but if you think about it timeline-wise, that's why I'm saying they're going to have to. That we have to be very, very early 1745 in France, because of upcoming story that I'm trying not to spoil for people who haven't read the book.
But historically, Culloden is April of
1746.
April 16th. So
yeah, well, we know she's coming back in April. Yeah. She's got to be back in 1948. It has to be April of 1948.
Right.
Because of the fact that doesn't have to be. Again, as book readers, we kind of know this, and they kind of alluded to it a little bit in the show. Except if people have not watched any of the trailers, any of the promo, they might not know. But they've shown enough to show the battles happening in the trailers for this season. That there are battles coming up. So people, if you haven't read the book, you do know that we're heading towards Culloden, right?
Yeah, we're heading towards that.
We're heading towards Culloden.
They have, they've shown. And
So don't scream spoiler at me.
Yeah.
This is not book spoiler. This is history.
Go read about it yourself.
Yeah, and you don't have to read Diana. You can pick up a Scottish history book.
Right. Just like Claire did. Good luck.
So yeah, I mean, we waved our hands, and we're suddenly 1745. So we know we have got a little over a year.
Yeah.
Of time we're going to spend between France, and we're going back to Scotland again from the trailers that have been out there for the past, several weeks.
Eventually, but we are in France now.
We are in France now.
Everybody's
we are in Le Havre.
Yeah, Le Havre, yeah.
Which is near Normandy.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, it was near Normandy because, I wondered why. Well, maybe I shouldn't say that. You would think Diana would allude to that, in the 1940-ish timeline, that Normandy and Le Havre were very close geographically to each other. Because I just thought that was very cool. I got to looking up on a map where it was and noticed that it was close to Normandy.
Huh.
So,
yeah, kind of.
Not that I'm telling her how to write her books or anything. But and Murtaugh hates it.
Frogs.
He said it smelled like frogs.
Smells like frogs.
Yeah.
Well, kind of a derogatory term for French.
French, yeah.
Frogs.
Oh,
I kind of went with that's what he was doing was. You know,
oh yeah, that's exactly what Murtaugh was doing. It smells
he was
like
saying it loud enough for the people standing around to hear him.
Oh.
Yeah, so I mean, I love Murtaugh
He's awesome.
in the show because he was such a background character in the book. You know, he would pop in and out of the book.
Mm-hmm.
But I love the fact that he is front and center in France. And he was front. We knew he was going to be because he was front and center on that ship.
Mm-hmm.
They made sure in that final thing to make sure he was
present. You saw him. Mm-hmm.
As part of the trio and the group.
You know, one thing that I liked is even though the episode The Search just went on and on and on and on, it showed his budding relationship with Claire. Like, they got closer and started talking and things. And so it has made him talking to her, what we saw in episode 1, and what we saw in some of the trailers where he's talking to her a little more often, a little more believable.
Yeah. Yeah, and when Phyllis and I had the discussion about The Search, that was one of my high points that I liked about that episode. You know, how much I liked that episode. Was the fact I liked the relationship building between her and Murtaugh. And I liked the relationship building they did between Claire and Jenny. And I liked, you know, the bad guy Dougal coming back and being the bad guy Dougal.
Yeah. There was a lot done in that episode. He's beyond never seen Jamie.
Yeah. I mean, I still say that we could have cut about 10 minutes of the writing back and forth and whole gypsy life. The whole thing with the gypsies. I was just kind of like, oh my God.
You didn't like the Bugle Boy song?
Oh my God.
Yeah, we went on about that.
We should not go on about that because I will become like Blake Larkin of Outlander cast, who people are saying, get over it and move on already.
So France smells like frogs to Murtaugh and fish to Claire.
Like every other seaport you will be in smells like fish.
He says.
Did you notice how, like, I was looking when they would pan up the hill, and how flimsy and tall and narrow all of the, like, houses and buildings were? And they were just stacked. Like, part of what was supporting one was the two on the other side of it.
Oh, well,
So if they, like, all started leaning, they just all fell.
And that may be part of the problem is that whole seaport, all of the buildings that you saw where they were walking in front of, CGI.
It was all CGI. It was a cliff face,
Because it is a cliff face basically along there. The
in real life,
walkway is there, the pier is there, but there are no buildings.
Yeah,
they have put those in digitally.
Yeah,
but I wonder if that's like really how they looked.
Yeah, it probably is how they look.
Oh, I'm sure with the kind of research that this crew does, I'm sure they found whatever they could find, and you know.
Sure. They look like Tudor, you know, like, 1400, 1500 era, you know, kinds of buildings that would have sprung up around the seaport. I could see that.
Yeah. I just thought that was crazy.
Because, they would have just put up whatever and been beaten by the seawater and the salt water and the saltwater air, whatever. You know what I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, Le Havre, I think, is presented as a big port. I mean, people ship in and out, and so it's pretty busy. So you would need storage. You would need places for people to sleep, travelers, or drinking establishments, all of that. So you would all that in that area and so I can see where it would be built up and just kind of be, haphazard, I guess you would call it.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking about it like the boom towns of the Gold Rush era.
Right.
Right. The population swells so fast that they're just throwing up whatever they need to, but it's not the dirtiest out there. So, Yeah.
This place has probably been an active port. I don't know the history of Le Havre, but probably been an active port for centuries.
Yeah, the numbers.
Yeah.
So we, and I have to agree, the two things I've watched or listened to talk about the scene between Jamie and Claire in that room in the inn being the weakest part of this entire episode.
Huh.
Just because it was all exposition setting up the rest of the season and reminding everybody, this is what we're going to do. We've decided to stop Culloden, so we have to do this and this and this and this.
Okay.
And it was all talk, and a lot of people didn't like the fact that they didn't even mention Claire's pregnancy. They didn't talk about the fact they had this impending parenthood, and one of the reasons that they could want to change things was the fact that to have a better future for their, impending child. It was so cold.
Yeah.
My problem with it was from a visual standpoint. The colors in it were very one-dimensional, and they were kind of a yellowish orange. And I know that was candlelight, and it was supposed to represent candlelight, but it was just very blah. Like Jamie looked very pale, and of course maybe he was still recovering, and that was on purpose. But it was just like I couldn't even follow really what they were saying, just because visually it was not appealing at all. And that was like a beautiful room. That was a beautiful inn that they were staying in, but it was, I don't think it was. I didn't like the way they shot that.
Yeah. So yeah, and like I said, with the first time I watched this episode, I loved the whole thing from beginning to end. But as I've watched it again and listened to some commentary, I can see, points that people are making, and I can see that that particular scene really kind of was for the weakest part of the back half, and that they short shrifted Jamie and Claire's story by giving them so little time in our first episode.
Yeah.
By devoting, 38 minutes to Frank and Claire, it gave short shrift to what's going to be our story for the rest of the season.
Right.
And maybe since you said that we would see no more Tobias this season, maybe they wanted to give us a firm grasp on Frank.
It's not that we're not going to see Tobias. We're not going to see more Frank.
Yes, that's what I meant.
Trying not to spoil, but I'm sure a lot of people are thinking to themselves, no, I'm not so sure about the door and the coups running over Blackjack. We'll see.
Yeah.
Your villains always seem to come back from the dead.
Really?
So I didn't tell Melissa, but I am live casting in the thread. I don't know if you saw that in the Facebook group.
I saw that.
So yeah,
I saw that, and that's kind of where I tried to get in. And
yeah,
I was like,
you can't participate, one-on-one. You can because Cleo Evans is in the thread right now. You can put comments that I think it says that comments will appear where I'm watching.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I would, if she commented, I might be able to see what she said. I don't know. It's the first time I've done this. But I keep looking over there because I'm talking to you guys on my computer, and I've got in the thread on my phone. And I keep kind of looking over here so they know I still know they're there. To remind myself, I know that they're there. So, anyway. So I just, again, this is one of those things where suddenly Claire is the absolute driving force behind everything. Everything is her idea.
Right.
And the fact that she's pushing Jamie so hard, this is a change from the book. In the book, they were working together.
Right. He seems kind of reluctant here, like, well, why can't we just win?
Yeah.
And I think that,
to me, it feels like I have some issues with the way they have changed some aspects of her character and his character. They've made her so strong, and they've weakened him.
Right.
In the TV show.
Hopefully this is just going to be kind of a embellishing on how he's not healed yet. That he's kind of subdued right now.
Yeah, well, and we got that small little nod towards that when him talking about how he still felt his touch.
Yeah, he could still feel
still feel his touch on his skin, and that he was.
He comments about the bed not moving because he was seasick. So
they gave a nod towards the fact that he is a terrible sailor.
Right. True. Yeah, because he does say, you'd have to bury me at sea
if we tried to go to Boston. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
And the whole thing about when she talks, her first line to him is, "I thought you were going to knock me over on the gangplank."
Trying to get off the
boat. Yeah. And then he talks about, not being on something, a creaky, what did he call it? I can't remember. But the whole thing is, definitely letting us know he does not like to sail.
Yeah, he doesn't want to be on the water.
Yeah, he is not a good sailor. Because there's more comments. People were commenting about the fact that, when he takes his shirt off for Jared, for someone who had the crap beat out of him and had no use of his left hand and had been seasick for at least 2 full days.
Yeah, a couple days crossing the channel.
He had managed to maintain those pecs.
That was a gratuitous toss out for 40 minutes of Frank, okay? They had to get Jamie's shirt off somehow because we just put up with 40 minutes of Frank.
Make up for the fact that we had to spend 38 minutes with Frank in 1940.
That's right. So we're going to give you a little Jamie chest. Everybody's happy. Let's move on.
Well, in my shallowness, I did look at him and go, "Oh, that's the best his hair has looked in this episode."
Yeah, that was interesting because it's getting longer, obviously, for the actor. So I thought it was quite interesting how, and it looks like a different shade of red. And I'm going, boy, that's some red. Definitely, red hair, curls, got the whole, Viking look or whatever you call it. And,
yeah, well, I mean, having seen the promo shots for what's coming, he's very stylized in France.
Right, and shaved and got clean shaven, which I thought was interesting that he was clean shaven coming off the boat that he's been sick on for 2 days.
For 2 days, yeah.
That was kind of strange. But I'm trying to think, was he clean shaven when he left the Abbey? He might have been. So maybe he managed to just maintain what he had going on there, but. Yeah, he's been very clean shaven.
He shaved and did his push-ups.
Yeah.
He's doing his one-handed
one-handed push-ups that managed to maintain both pecs evenly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, we're bad. Now to say, I thought it was a good way to get his cousin Jared in the loop as far as showing that he's on board. For what it's worth.
Well, yeah, to try and come up with a reason why he would want to help, to suddenly have this change of heart and wanting to be part of the Jacobite
cause,
movement, what that was. And basically, I loved the fact that they had taken what had been a humiliating experience for him during Rent,
right,
and it became his choice.
Yes.
Him saying, "Here is why."
Yeah.
This is what was done to me. This is what the English did to me. This is why I am, ready to rise up against this unjust regime.
Yeah. Right.
Because personally, this is what they did to me, and it was him doing it rather than someone, using him for that purpose.
But I think it was very staged. I mean, clearly, because Claire almost is, it's not like she's surprised that he did that. So you'd think that off camera they must have discussed, well, if you show him your back and, that'll convince him that you're serious.
Maybe, but it could also be a nod toward them being on the same mental wavelength, because there was a couple of looks that they passed between them and him reaching out to start unbuttoning.
Yeah, he knew.
It could be more telling us, I would prefer to believe it's them trying to tell us how much they are now starting to work in concert, where they can almost read each other's minds in certain situations.
Yeah,
I'd rather be that than to have been completely pre-planned.
Yeah, no, it was a planned thing. I mean, it looked clearly like they were ready to do it that way. And he does comment earlier about having to deceive his cousin,
Yeah, I think that it may allude to the fact that they had talked about the what ifs when they were talking on the bed earlier. That's just what I thought. I thought, well, they had kind of planned if there were questions. Hey, we use, your back got used in Scotland, so let's use it again.
Yeah.
Yeah, but don't you think it would make a stronger relationship statement if they hadn't discussed it? If they hadn't talked about it beforehand, and when this question came up from Jared, Jamie suddenly realized he could do this, and just by starting to unbutton and looking at Claire and Claire looking at him, because she witnessed all of that on the road.
Yeah,
So rather than having been a pre-planned thing, I would prefer it to have been something that they looked at each other and knew
thought,
this was what they could do.
Okay.
I can see that too.
Putting them on the same wavelength, putting them on the fact that they were starting to think alike and work together, and it didn't take this specific, sitting down and saying this is what we need to do. It was more of being in tune with each other. I mean, that's, like I said, that's what I would prefer to think it was.
Yeah.
Because I want their relationship to be as strong as I know it's supposed to, or how strong it was written in the book.
Yeah.
That's what I'd like to believe it is.
Yeah.
I have issues with it not feeling that way in the first season.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
I mean, like that, and maybe that's me living my own little fantasy world.
That's a good point. That's a valid point. I mean, that's.
Yep.
Yeah. Clearly, they knew it was going to be effective. So.
But yeah, and I actually loved Jared. I loved Jared in that scene, but unfortunately, I think that's all we're going to see of him. I think I read somewhere that we don't see him again.
Wow.
Oh, at all?
Maybe not.
I don't think so.
Well, no, because he never comes back. Yeah, I mean, we might not.
He does come back, but I don't think they ever talked to him. But you know what? In the book, we're talking about stuff that's already happened. In the book, was he not going to Germany?
In the original book, yeah.
And now he's going to the West Indies.
Yeah, that's a bigger trip.
Kind of a...
That's a bigger
trip. Us for... coming on the road, because it could be a call... Because there could be a callback.
Yeah, oh yeah.
This. For those of us who have read on and we're trying not to spoil too much.
Yeah. I think I said that too somewhere, that he does have business there. I mean, that's something that comes up later. So.
Yeah, but yeah, because again, this is one of those things I saw and went, ooh, I think they pulled something out of a future book and are putting these little signposts to the book readers saying, see here, looky, we are reading ahead.
We know that. Those of us that know, we know that they've read the books. Thank goodness. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
No, I just think it's a way for them to. I think it's a way for them to kind of nod towards the book readers, the really devoted book readers, so that we know that they're thinking ahead. They're making decisions that will have impact in the future, but won't be it won't be the wrong kind of impact. Because there are some things that they've done in the past that I went, oh, we're going to lose that whole thing.
Yeah, I think if they drop hints throughout this season, it'll be an easier segue to the next season.
Well, and I don't know if you were here yet, Melissa, but Phyllis and I were talking about the fact that I feel like the next book, I don't think we were on the air yet, actually, when we were talking about it. I feel like the next book splits perfectly in half into 2 seasons.
Oh, really?
I feel like it does, but I've heard them say they were planning on one season per book. But man, are they going to have to cut a lot and cram a lot.
Yeah. Well, they can. I mean, we can get into that later.
We don't want to talk about it, but anyway.
We'll get into that when we get into that book, okay?
Yeah. Exactly. When we get to the end of this season and we're talking about next season, then we can have a spoiler zone warning.
Right.
Yes.
When we're talking about how we think they're going to adapt for the next season.
Yes.
So anyway,
sorry,
go ahead, hon.
I'm really kind of shocked that we're not going to see any more of Jared, because he was a little more visible in the books before he left for his trip.
Right.
I mean, they had some dinner parties and things, I think.
Yeah, he was still there. He was still there for a little bit of them being in Paris.
Because he introduced them.
Yes. So you don't think we'll see him next show?
I don't know that we'll see him next week. I think they may jump the timeline a little bit.
Oh, that they're already established.
They're already there. They've been introduced, because just from the trailers I've seen when they meet Louise, don't you remember Louise saying, "I know every family in,
Yes.
and I can introduce you."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I thought that was
Come with
kind of
me to
odd.
Versailles. I know all the I know all of the aristocracy families or whatever she says.
Yeah.
And I can introduce you. So it may be the fact that maybe just Jared introduced them to Louise.
Mm-hmm.
Said, "Here, take care of these guys."
And, yeah, well, knowing, that Louise is, very much the society gadabout and knows everybody. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
Supposed to
I
follow.
really liked Jared. That kind of makes me sad.
Yeah, I like
Because he looks, the actor looks exactly the way I had him in my head.
that. Yeah.
yeah,
So it was
a little
really
younger than I
cool.
had in my head.
Really?
younger?
I had even older in my head.
I did too, a little bit, but I think he's good. I think he looks the part. And you look at how they've presented the Frasers here, because you've got Murtaugh, who's dark, and Jenny, who's dark, and you've got Jamie, who's red. His father, dark. So the Frasers, they run the gamut, I guess. I mean, they really haven't, other than saying that Jamie looks like his mother, so I guess we're assuming his mother is a redhead. So it's one or the other, and so they're kind of following that. They haven't thrown any blondes in, let's just say.
Yeah.
They're either the dark colors, the darker hair, or they're red, apparently. So.
Yeah,
And and young Jamie, isn't young Jamie? Is he red? No, he's dark, isn't he?
He's dark.
He's dark. Okay. So.
So we've gone way long.
Jared, we were talking about Jared.
Yeah, so Jared is taking them, he's giving them their house, and Jamie negotiating up from 25% to 35%.
Yeah.
Of the wine business, yeah.
And I love the fact that Jared said explicitly, "You have a good head for figures." I mean, it's kind of the first acknowledgement from anybody else besides Jamie himself that Jamie has a very good brain.
Right.
Yes.
And he's very intelligent and well educated.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, because we didn't get that last season.
No. We got it from Jamie with him saying, "I'm an educated man and I had tutors," and but it was those were almost throwaway things, because when they were at the Black Kirk, I just rewatched it the other day. When they were at the Black Kirk, talked about it, having had tutors and all that. So I mean, I want to see more of that, which I think we're going to see, because I think we're going to see him playing chess.
Yes.
Yeah, they
looks like
thought of him playing chess with someone. So yeah.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to us getting the more refined, educated, Jamie, because he has there are two definite sides to him.
Yeah.
There is the rough and tumble warrior Highlander.
Yeah.
And then there is this well-educated, more refined laird.
Right.
So yeah, and that's trying to balance those two sides. And
yeah, and Jared did specifically say, "You've lived in my house," so they clearly Jamie's been in Paris. I mean,
yeah, which he had been in the book. Which I think, does the TV show talk about? They do talk about, because he and Ian talked about having been in
Paris. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, in Paris and in France with being the mercenaries in France.
Yes, right.
So fought together in France.
Yeah.
They knew that, and then for Jared to say, "You've lived in my house," and so we know that Jamie he can use a knife and fork.
Yeah, and he's traveled. He is not one of those people who has not been more than 10 miles from their birthplace.
Right.
Yes.
Yes, right.
He's much more continental than anybody but his uncles.
Right.
Yes.
That's true.
And probably Colum is not as well traveled.
Yeah.
No, because of his disease.
Because of his So that makes Jamie and Dougal the two who've been out and actually seen stuff. And I think, I'm not even sure we know that from the show about Dougal. We know it from the book.
Yeah, but still, I mean, you can tell that Dougal is, even if he's just been around Scotland and England, he's been out of the town, the local town. So.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm encouraged, slightly encouraged, that maybe we're going to actually get references to the fact that Jamie is very well educated, and I I feel sorry for Sam if they go with the fact that, you know, Jamie has this affinity for languages.
Yeah.
Because we know how many languages Jamie's supposed to be able to speak, including a very odd one down the road.
Yes.
Yeah.
That'll be interesting.
German too.
Yeah, well, I can see them cutting that whole storyline.
I know, but oh, I hope they don't.
I hope they don't because of the whole seasick thing, but
Yeah. I hope they don't because of the little character that I have in my head I'd like to see.
yeah, I'd like to see that.
Yeah.
So we ended with the Comte Saint-Germain. What do we think of Stanley Weber as the Comte?
Oh, he's awesome.
I have heard more people say, "Ooh, Hottie McHotterson," or "Hottie McFerguson," or "Hottie McPherson," or
Yeah, he does nothing for me.
And I'm the same way, Melissa. I'm like, oh, he looks like a hawk.
Yeah.
But you know, he looks very menacing. He's clearly a rich man, and but he looks like he's very menacing, and he doesn't have a problem telling them they're going to pay for this. You know, right in front of Jared, who he knows.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, he has that very disdainful French.
Right.
You know, totally. As soon as he realized that they weren't French, that they were English.
Oh, yeah, you English, yeah.
Yeah, he had that whole looking down his nose at them like they were just swine.
Right.
So far,
when he was walking in, was he like holding a cane or something? Because I kept seeing people kind of get out of his way, and it looked like he was swinging. It looked like he hit somebody as he was coming in, like in the leg or something.
Yeah, he probably was. I'll have to look at that again.
I think maybe he had a walking stick.
Yeah, it would move people out of the way. It would get them out of your way while you're
he doesn't want the peasants touching him.
Right.
But
well, his head looks double the size of his body. Like that's what I mean.
He had a wig and a hat.
Yeah.
Right? So.
He did.
If you look at the colors in that scene, it's kind of interesting because everybody else is pretty muted, like all the peasants and all the workers and stuff. And then he comes in, he looks like a peacock.
Yeah, he's in like what, mauve silk or something.
He's part of the aristocracy. But I did read or listen to somebody who talked about they had a friend who was French and a French historian. Who said there is no way that a comte in that era of France would have been a merchant.
Or he would have been at the docks?
Absolutely was not done. He would not be a merchant, or if he was in business, he would not be the one conducting it. Because that was beneath the aristocracy class.
So he wouldn't have had the day-to-day running of that business then.
If they would have, there would be somebody like Jared, you know, who was their
manager, Yes.
Right.
They would have been doing that, which I can actually see because it is beneath the aristocracy to have been being a businessman was considered coarse.
Right.
Even in England, even in England, in the the upper class, they never would admit to being in business.
Right.
Because that was just that was just because they all were born with their money. They didn't have to earn their money.
Talking about money is vulgar.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the making of money is even more vulgar.
Yeah. You don't need to make money, like you said. You invest it or you. Yeah.
They don't have to work.
Right.
That's so. Anyway, that's nitpicking.
Yeah. Well. Doesn't move the story forward.
No. So anyway, I mean, I did love the fact that Jamie said, we've been here 15 minutes and already we have a new enemy.
Yeah. And boom, we got a new enemy. That's
cool. So, but I like the fact that they did this whole little storyline about the smallpox and burning of the ship. But I guess it's really the easiest way to introduce us to the Comte.
Right.
Well, and that tension.
That
tension that's going to be so prevalent.
Yes, because it's cost him
a ship and
cost him whatever he had on the ship. Because he thought, well, I guess he has isn't one of the guys in the room the captain, right?
Yes.
That's the
one that kind of attacks Claire.
And everything is
the one that Jamie about put through a wall.
Yes.
Yeah, so he's the captain, but it's the Comte's business, whatever's going on. They don't really give us any detail on it, do they? As far as what was on.
Yeah, the fact that I don't know. Yeah, they didn't go into detail about the fact that we know that Jared is a wine merchant.
Yeah. But they don't put that connection together here.
Yeah, they didn't explicitly say, and maybe it was in stuff that got cut.
Yeah, it might be. Or maybe they'll bring it up later.
Yeah, because they don't explicitly say what the cargo was.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they didn't. That's what I mean. They never put that, like what was on the ship. That.
Yeah, just that he had lost his, the ship and all the cargo, so it cost him.
And they don't really even explain why does the ship have to be burned just because somebody has smallpox. I mean.
Well, the harbor master said the law is clear.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because of the fact they knew the only way to. I'm surprised that I think in the book that ship had to be anchored away from. They didn't bring that ship in.
Mm-hmm. No.
I think they brought in small ships. They brought in small ships from the ship that was anchored out more in the harbor. They're not docked.
Yeah. Yeah, it was too big to bring right into near the docks. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe they'll go into the detail next episode and fill us in on what was on the ship and.
Well, it'll have to come up if they're going to continue that whole storyline and the problems between the Comte Saint-Germain and the Frasers, Jamie and Claire.
Right, and Jared's the Fraser wine business and everything.
So hopefully we'll get
that benefits them. Yeah, so hopefully they will.
Okay, so that kind of got us through.
Yeah, took us an hour.
You know what I loved? One more thing. What I loved about the last little bit of the last maybe 5 minutes of it, when they were watching, because if you notice, Jamie had not kissed Claire through this whole, 10 minutes or whatever we got of them.
2 minutes.
When he had kissed her hand, and that was it that I had noticed.
She looked a little taken aback when he kissed her, that he reached down and kissed her hand. She had that kind of look on her face like, oh.
And then he had a little bit of excitement in his eyes, and a little bit of his fire, to me, came back when they were watching the ship burn, and the Comte was there, and he was like, I forget what he says now. I've just drawn a blank. But, they were talking about it, and he bent down and kissed her. And I'm like, so we're beginning to see a little bit of him, like, having some excitement brought back into his life. Because I think he really felt like his life was just over at the end of season 1. Yeah. Like he'd never just be the same again.
He was trying to get... trying to bring himself back, and once he found out that Claire was pregnant, the whole thing of finding out that Claire was pregnant, I think, almost was a burden to him at that point, because it's like, oh no, now I absolutely have to figure out a way to go on
because of this sense of duty,
because of the child, Claire and a child. I now have 2 people I'm responsible for. So I think before that, because he even says in that last scene that he was trying, because she says you look better, and he says I'm trying. There's something to that effect. So
but I thought it was
kind of his first voluntary touching.
Yes. Yeah.
And
I thought that was really cool, though.
Yeah.
There was a little bit of drama, and he had, some excitement, maybe something else to preoccupy his mind, and he allowed himself to feel and have those emotions and everything right there on the wharf.
Yep. So next week we have, the episode is called We're Not in Scotland Anymore?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which to me is a whole play on Toto, we're not in Kansas anymore.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not the fact that they're physically not in Scotland anymore. Obviously, they weren't in Scotland in the first episode.
Yeah.
It's more of the fact, like, holy shit, we're definitely not in Scotland anymore.
Yeah, because the way...
It's the society thing.
Yeah, the society and all that is different.
Yeah, the whole opulence of Paris and the French court, because I think the next episode is the one where we're getting Versailles in the red dress.
Yeah, I think we're going to cover a lot of ground in the next.
That's why I think we're going to do a big time jump.
Yeah.
A big time jump. I say big. It's not as big as the year that we lost.
Yeah. But months, maybe.
Yeah, I think maybe we'll have been in Paris for maybe a month.
Yeah.
And they'll be established and maybe have been to a couple of dinner parties and now are starting to host their own and meeting Louise and then Louise taking them to Versailles.
Yeah, because they still have to get in with the king. So.
Yeah. Well, they don't necessarily have to get in with the king. Who they're wanting to get into is with Charles.
Yeah, but
Louis and Charles are cousins, but they are not. Charles has not been accepted at court. I don't know if we're going to hear that.
But I think they also want to get in. Don't they want? Oh, well, I mean, isn't it good to be in with the court too? I mean, that's probably a goal, is to be part of the court.
In the book, they knew that one of Charles's goals was to get the support of Louis.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're getting that in the TV show or not. We haven't gotten it so far because they cut all of that. You know, they cut Alexander and all of that correspondence with King James and all that kind of stuff. But Claire does say that it starts with Charles in France.
Right. So now we've got to figure out, like they said, got to find the money. We got to find the money, find out what's going on.
Yeah, but I mean, their whole stated purpose is to meet with the Jacobite leaders and find out their plans.
Right.
So maybe one of the first meetings is going to be mentioned that Charles was trying to get accepted at court.
Yeah.
And get Louis to, back him.
Yeah, he's still
then there would be an actual reason to need to go to Versailles and start interacting with that group because, again, there's book stuff that I don't want to talk about until we actually see what they do.
Okay. Sounds good.
So, but yeah, Versailles and the red dress, which, non-book readers hopefully will see why everybody's been talking about the red dress.
I like how they faked out their promo pictures, too.
Yeah.
Because when I saw those promo pictures, I'm like, that is it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty extreme, but that's it. And I thought, okay, so I'm curious to see how it goes from that, if that really is it, to what it is.
Yeah.
I'm curious if it's something that, I don't know. I'm going to speculate that even Jamie doesn't know how it really goes until she gets in that room and there it is. That Jamie thinks it's the picture we saw. And I'm hoping that that's how they play it.
Yeah.
Until she gets walked into that room, and he's probably as much in shock as everybody else. So
yeah, I'm very excited for next week, and I actually think I may be off so I can watch it live. I mean, I'm going to watch it before. If it's available like it was last year, I'm watching it on Friday because I am not able to stop myself.
Midnight Friday, Saturday morning.
But I would really love to be able to live tweet and all that kind of stuff on Saturday night, which I think I'll be able to because I'm pretty sure I'm off this weekend. Well, I'm not off on Friday. I'm off on Saturday.
I know in my Twitter timeline there's still a lot of people. Even Corey jumped in. We were live tweeting. So, of course, I had the free weekend, too. I had the Free Stars weekend. So. Yeah.
But if you've got the app, it's just a matter of queuing it up and watching it.
Yeah. That's what I'll do.
Which is actually what my plan was on Saturday night, because when I got there on Saturday night, I had no patience. But of course, I had a patient. But of course, because I had plans, I got slammed.
Yeah.
So I was the only labor nurse, and I ended up with 3 checks, and it was like, what crap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
3 OB checks at the same time. So yeah, it was like, okay, now I'm a triage nurse.
Oh well.
So by the time I looked up, it was 2 o'clock, and I'm like, well, damn, I missed all the fun. Excuse me.
Okay.
Anyway, let's adjourn, and maybe next week we'll just go ahead and start at 8 o'clock, so it doesn't get late like this. Yeah,
I know. I'm looking at this, going, oh my God, we've actually been here 2 hours. You and I have. So.
Yeah, because it's 10:30. It's 10:30 Central Time.
So I guess it's gonna. You got to figure it's gonna be at least an hour. Probably.
At least an hour. But then we also talked quite a bit before I went live.
Yeah.
So y'all been talking a long time.
We have been talking a long time. Like, okay, I might as well join in.
I haven't been able to talk to anybody. I've done a little bit of texting with Jerry, but I only have a couple of people here who watch the show.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't have a whole lot of time to sit down and talk with them. And I told Phyllis I just got a friend started watching last season. I was letting her watch on my Amazon.
Uh-huh.
And it was so much fun watching a non-book reader watch the show for the first time.
I bet.
That was a lot of fun to watch her reactions, and she was just looking at me going, "This is so good. I don't know. I hate the fact that I have terrible internet service at my house because I can't stream at my house."
Oh, that's funny.
So it was, and like I said, it was a lot of fun watching her reaction, and it actually made me take a step back and watch last season again with a different perspective, which was good because I came at it as a strict book reader, and in my head I was always critiquing, what I was missing.
Yeah.
So it was good for me to go back and watch it again with someone who hadn't done any reading.
Yeah.
So I recommend that if anybody, is like me and was a book reader and had reservations about the first season, about how they did some stuff, if you can find somebody that you can get into it and hook on it, that's fantastic. But you can't watch it with them.
Yeah.
Like I said, watching them and their reaction is a whole lot of fun. It makes you take a step back and kind of watch it with a fresh set of eyes.
Yeah.
So,
that's good.
Anyway, we'll plan next Monday. I don't think I have to. There's a Monday coming up when I actually have to work, but I don't think it's until May.
Well, you guys also, you've got the Monday in May following. Are we going to skip the week after Race for Hope?
I'll be back. I'm coming home Sunday night.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry. I guess I have to say I have to skip it. I have tickets for Jackson Brown. I was thinking, oh, good. Well, they probably won't do it because they'll be caught up with the Washington, D.C. stuff. And so I can just go see Jackson Brown and not feel bad that I missed a week.
Oh, well.
Oh, well.
You'll miss one out of all these that we've done.
Yeah, I know. Really, I feel bad. I've only missed the one, so. Oh, well. Oh, well.
You had a very good reason, so.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining me. This was fun.
Yeah,
it was.
So we'll plan next week. We'll plan on starting at 8 o'clock Central Time here, so 6 o'clock for you, Phyllis, and 9 o'clock for anybody on the East Coast who wants to join in.
Join us.
And yeah, it'd be great to talk face to face in the Google Hangout, or we'll see if we can figure out if they can comment in the thread on the Facebook group.
Yeah.
And we can see those, but we'd love to have them, inside the Hangout. It's just a matter of letting me know if you have a Gmail address, Gmail email address. I can get you on the group and get you into the Hangout because I think I can have at least 4 or 5 more people.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
In the group, inside the room here. Because I think I can have like 6. Either 6 or 10. I have to look again.
Oh, that's nice.
Because it can be a whole lot of fun with all those people talking and sharing. All right, I'm going to stop this broadcast, and we'll hopefully see everybody next week. I'll post the video of this in the feed so people can go back and see. I'll post the YouTube video of this in the feed, and then the video that I'm doing right now live in the feed will be in the feed. So, anyway. All right, guys, thanks so much.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.